Yep.
All right, so here we are in Excel with my co-host Colin Kelly.
Hello.
Now we're here to show you how to do the graphs you need for your assignment. Now the first thing we're going to click on here is we have our data from our resting heart rate and respiratory rate from your class that you'll be doing very soon.
Yep, so this is Aaron's class. If you're in my class, you need to use different data.
Yep, so this now this data is being done on a Mac, so we're going to talk you through the small changes that if you're using a Windows computer, you might need to click on some different buttons that do the exact same thing. Now for your online learning next week, you need to be able to graph this data and show a representation of the class's heart rate and respiratory rate data, and it's also going to link back to your assignment, isn't it, Colin?
That's right.
Now we simply do that by highlighting our data, coming up here to insert. I'm just going to make this big. Insert. We come over here to we want a bar graph for this.
We do. We'll talk about why in a minute.
Yep, so we're going to click a bar graph, and that's not a bad start, but there's a few changes we're going to make, isn't it?
It's not a bad start. Pat yourself on the back.
Now, the first thing we don't have an axis title over in the corner here on the left. So on a map, we simply click on Quick Layout, and then choose one of these. This is my particular favourite here, because we get an axis title.
Yep.
We've already got our names down the bottom. That's pretty self-explanatory. Then you need to put a chart title as well. Now, you're not happy with this graph.
I don't like it. I don't like it because we haven't sorted the data. We can't. That doesn't show me anything. So what I'd like to see is before we do that graph, we sort the data and let's perhaps see high heart rate to low heart rate and see if there's a corresponding relationship with breathing rate.
So we're going to get rid of this.
Delete it.
We're going to delete.
Yep.
We are going to keep our data highlighted.
So select it all, yep.
Come up to data and we're going to press
Sort.
Sort. Now we're going to sort by...
Let's sort by heart rate.
Heart rate.
And we'll go smallest to largest. That's okay.
We're going to click OK. Oh,
yep. Wow.
Oh, I've had some changes. All right, let's quickly graph that again. So just to go over, we went Insert. Oh, I'll click Intex.
Now you've done
get
it.
out of that.
Yep.
So we're going to highlight our data. We're going to go Insert, Column Graph, or Bar Graph. Oh, we've done...
Look at that.
Our data is still here. Beautiful. Went a bit spacco there for a second. That is all good.
Oh, that looks good. So
now, again, we haven't got our titles there, so we're going to quickly go up here. So we've got our axis titles here we can add in, but you like that a lot better.
I like it a lot better. It's because what we can see now is we can see some of the data sorted, so heart rate's sorted, and we can now look and see if there's any relationship between increasing resting heart rate and something to do with respiratory rate or breaths per minute.
And we know for question 1 of the assignment, we're asking them to talk about 3 potential reasons for there being changes between individuals within this data.
Yep.
All right, so that's the first graph we need to do. Now, the second thing we need
to do...
So hang on,
if we just talk about that, so what we need to make sure that you do is give the chart a title.
Yep, up here.
Yep. So you can just click on that. You can click on... I'll let you do that one first.
Here you go. Heart rate and respiratory rate.
Beautiful. And then you could click on the axis title, and we need to know what that's actually measuring. So we want to know the title and the units being used.
So in this case, we have got heart rate in...
And breathing. Oh, yeah, in BPM.
BPM.
Beats per minute.
And we've also got respiratory rate.
And unfortunately, that's BPM as well.
It is.
Breaths per minute. So now we can look on that title and look at that graph and we know what we're actually looking at.
Let's get that title there. So yeah, it's actually pretty easy, isn't it, Cole?
Very easy.
These buttons do it for, but there's no excuses for getting this wrong.
No.
So we happy with that one?
Yep.
So now the next data we need, and what I've done here, I've taken the time to make some imaginary numbers that should be something like the lab that everybody did yesterday.
Yep.
So as you can see, we have got our lap times
Yep.
over here in seconds.
Yep.
We've got the lap number, and in the middle, most importantly, we have our lap heart rate.
Yep.
Now, very simply, again, we are just going to select these ones.
Yep.
We don't need to do these ones here, otherwise we end up with another random line.
So don't select lap,
Don't select
and if
the
you
laps.
end up with a random line, you have selected lap.
Okay, so I'm going to go Insert.
Yep.
We're going to choose a graph again. This time we're going for a line graph. Now, why are we going a line graph, Cole?
Yep. So we would go a line graph to show changes in one thing or changes in data that's related to other data. So for this one here, we're showing changes in heart rate. So each minute we can see a change in heart rate, or we're showing changes in lap time. So because they're related, we want a line graph.
Now, quick layout up in the top left-hand corner. On your Windows computers, when you go into your graphs, you'll actually have something which says change style up in the top bar, and you'll be able to see the exact same pictures you see when I click on here. You get all these options with the titles and whatnot. So for here, we're going to be able to want to put a title up the top. We're going to want to put an X-axis and a Y-axis. So if I click on this one here, boom, that looks pretty fantastic. Now, you do not need those lines in the middle, so you can click them and just press delete and get rid of them.
Yep, so all you do is click them to highlight them and press delete, and they're gone.
Now, we can make this better, can't we?
I'd like to see you make it better.
So what we're going to do here, we're going to click over here on the axis. I'm going to highlight the axis, or the Y-axis. We're going to right-click, come down here to Format Axis. Now, we're going to change our 0 down the bottom here, which is over here. We're actually going to change that to closer to our first number, which let's say if we take that up to 60.
That's very close.
That is very close.
Oh.
That looks great. So we can now see what we find if you do not change this Y-axis, you're going to end up with a pretty straight line, which is not going to be a great visual representation of the relationship between lap time and heart rate. So from there, we would simply go something like heart rate and respiratory rate for PRE of 6. 6.
Yep.
And then down the side here, we would have heart rate and lap time.
Yep. And probably units for those as well.
Lap time. And I'll probably after
lap time or lap time?
Lap time. Might spell that correctly.
Yep.
And we would go heart rate in, again, BPM, your favourite show on a Saturday morning, and lap time in seconds. Beautiful. Now
that would be lap number.
Lap number.
Just so that people know, if you're trying to work out which axis you put lap number and which axis you put heart rate or lap time, the x-axis or the horizontal axis is the one we call that an independent variable, and that means that that number doesn't change based on anything else. So it doesn't matter what happens with heart rate or what happens with time, we're still looking at lap 1, 2, 3 or 4. The dependent variable, or the thing that changes, is on the y-axis. So when you're looking at information that changes, it goes on the y. If it stays set, regardless of what happens, then it goes on the x-axis.
Now, it's tempting. We want these simple graphs, am I right?
Yeah, we do.
We don't get super complicated and try and throw numbers over the top. And
3D.
Yeah, 3D.
Shading.
We just don't need it. All we want is simple lines with the titles on the sides. Something like that.
Even that's getting a little fancy.
Even that, like that whole shading in the background, I don't need that.
Yep.
Please keep it simple. So we need line graphs when you're comparing two things. For things like our respiratory recovery respiratory rate, we can do them in line graphs.
Recovery heart rates.
Recovery heart rates as well. So there's no need to get fancy. But the most important thing, you don't just get marks for this, you need to be able to tell us what's happening in it.
If you're not sure, please come and ask us.
Well, that's a bit old school.
Oh.
They can ask us, or they could go new and send us a Schoology message. Face-to-face. Face-to-face is easier.
Yep. And what I'll also do, because I like this class so much, is I'll put up a little bit of an information sheet explaining a couple of those variables.
Can my class use that?
Yep.
You say you like your class. I don't think you could name 5 people yet. 5 names, first and last.
Yeah, I don't reckon I could.
All right, that's all for that. And if you have any questions, please feel free to come up and find us. And there'll be plenty more of these voiceovers, won't there?
Look forward to it.
In the near future. So
You're welcome.
See you next time.
Bye.